What's up, guys? It's Shani with Healing Elements, here to add a video to the Spirit Animal playlist. And we've just entered my season, Pisces season. The symbol for Pisces, the zodiac sign in astrology, is two fish. So one fish swimming in one direction, the other in the opposite direction. As we literally are in the first day of Pisces season, the spirit of the salmon, the fish, specifically the salmon. So this is all about the spirit animal of the fish. In the northwest of North America, the indigenous tribes in that region felt that salmon in particular were angelic beings of sorts, some sort of immortal, ethereal human that are in disguise. So basically considered to be sacred, and also had a tone and meaning of perseverance, self-sacrifice, regeneration, and prosperity. And we can see those ties quickly if we look at the salmon's journey that it has to go through, a very treacherous migration to spawn and make the next generation a success. So, you know, if we talk about perseverance to the indigenous tribes, we can see that it takes perseverance to get through the many obstacles and waterfalls, rushing currents, unpredictable speeds of the water and its currents, you know. And then we talk about self-sacrifice. The salmon's journey is definitely one which we find sacrificing bodies. There are many salmon who don't make it along the way. They sacrifice in order for the greater good, the greater generation ahead, to make its way and be successful. And then when we talk about regenerating, it's, you know, about making it upward to spawn and to, you know, ensure and create the next generation, and making sure that the generation ahead survives based on the sacrifice made by their own age group and their own group and generation. And when we talk about prosperity, of course, you know, you prosper. It is a big payoff when you create sustenance for your generation and your species, where we talk about many new lives born healthy and born in the best possible. That's why they make their way up into waterways that are clean, up the waterfalls, whatever treacherous route they must. The fish spirit animal talks about prosperity born out of sacrifice. So if this is something that you relate to, if you feel directly tied in with fish or fishing, maybe you're a fisherman and have been drawn to catch and release fish your entire life. If this is something that you feel is your spirit animal, something that resides deep within you, whether sea or freshwater, this is talking about that vibe, persevering over many obstacles in order to sacrifice and give yourself with service to the greater good, and be born of a new generation that's prosperous. So I think of the people who sacrificed in World War II, who truly did not have a mean bone in their body or believe in combative, you know, war or anything like that. Talk about cultural or other meanings, traditional and, you know, culturally, or salmon, spirit animal. In Greek mythology, Aphrodite could turn into a fish, and so she embodied the fish itself to use its speed, its agility, its cunning, its swimming abilities to get out of the way of danger. And there's also, of course, a big tie-in with Christianity when we talk about the fish and the fish spirit. This connects with the Christ energy, the Christian's Messiah figure, who represents resurrection and immortality, infinity, eternal source energy of the light, that kind of thing. Also in the Greek language, ichthys is spelled in the Greek language, and the acronym stands for Jesus Christ, Son, God, Savior. So this is a big tie-in when we talk about stories within the Christian Bible and things of that nature, and also representing the Messiah, embodying Christ itself. Also in the Celtic traditions, there is character a sassy salmon, so also talking about the salmon particularly, who the story derives of eating a sort of ambrosia type of nut. So the salmon eats a hazelnut, right? And then is awoken, by this plant or earthly medicine, right? Sound familiar? That opens up this salmon's broad understanding of these spiritual concepts, and consciousness is elevated, third eye type of crown chakra open. This spirit animal of the salmon or the fish talks about the flow state, going with the flow, the importance sometimes of surrendering to the currents or embodying a mutable or adaptable sort of person or spirit that can listen to the flow of the situation, listen to the flow within yourself of the energy, and go with the flow within the states of changing, societal situations, things of that nature. So the flow and the way in which water effortlessly flows and the benefit that can give to the fish, and the spirit of the fish surrenders to the currents, to the warm and cold jet streams, to the tidal unpredictabilities and or sudden changes in weather, sudden heating of areas, and that means that it would suddenly melt snow, and this giving way to floodwaters. So being able to go with the flow and adapt to these different currents, changes, and surprises, right? Also, the salmon or the spirit animal of the fish talks about being a product of the environment. So being saturated with what you have grown up with, and then therefore being a product of what that saturation has created with your perspectives, with your health, physically and mentally, spiritually, etc. Being a product of the environment is what the fish in life can be seen if they are in a toxic sludge environment, something that is dirty, does not have water flowing in and out to renew and to stop the stagnancy. This can create a very unhealthy or toxic, barely breathing, it looks like they are gulping air type of fish, right? And so this can be the spirit animal of the fish talks about being, yes, and one who can endure the long term, but being a product of what is surrounding you can make a big difference on what you are able to even conceive and have perspectives about. So this talks about, huge migrations of sacrifice, right? So the salmon spirit animal is all about the salmon's journey up the route that it needs to take back to return to where it was born, to spawn and have its eggs fertilized to create the next generation, right? So this spirit animal also talks about impossible odds or insurmountable journeys being accomplished and overcome, even if that means that some of our comrades will be sacrificed. So this to me gives me a big World War II vibe, something about going against all odds in order to ensure the next generation based on tradition, because this spirit animal of the fish or salmon has meaning about family and ancestral grounds, because they are returning back to where they were born, and this has happened over generation upon generation. So this is about traditions and ceremonial importance. This is about perspectives, where the fish, before it's caught, pretty much does not see above the water, doesn't know that there are other dimensions, other predators, or other realms that are vastly different than its existence in the water, right? Also about the essence of the fisherman itself, someone who wants to catch what is elusive, to catch what is deemed to be a challenge, to catch. And then the catch and release vibe is this power note, this meaning to the spirit animal of the fish or salmon, talking about having control and having something captive and showing mercy and letting something go. So all about those polar opposites. We can have a whole video on that itself, but also talking about willpower and again, sacrifice for the all, and having the determination with your willpower and your adaptable abilities to overcome these insurmountable odds in order to obtain a kind of purification. So purification, being pure, is something that is associated with the spirit animal of the salmon or the fish. The salmon looks for a very pure place to breed and to lay its eggs and have them get fertilized, and that is at the top, as far as they can go, north up this waterway, up waterfalls. In fact, jumping, you've seen them leap in the nature specials, trying upward to go to where, one, there are not as many predators, two, where the water is the purest, where their new found generation will end up having the best ability of and chance of surviving and thriving based on them being born in a pure and clean environment, right? So this tone and connotation of our surroundings being, you know, us being the product of our environment, wanting to care for our young and care for the next generation, make it cleaner, make it more, you know, environmentally sound, right? Working on the earth and bettering the way in which we treat it in order to, you know, maybe even self-sacrifice things that we need. Maybe we don't need straws, etc., you know, to purify for the next generation. There's a big meaning. So also change and adaptability, right? To change, you know, to allow systems to work and not have opposition. So go with the flow when we're talking about change. The salmon does change its physical look halfway up the river. It's a part of the process that it undergoes when spawning, and it's giving its last life source energy to the miracle of the next generation of creating young. And, you know, again, a lot of bodies are sacrificed. Food is given to bears, though, so nothing is wasted. Fertilizer when it comes to their feces and everything that is stirred up by the salmon and the way that they swish and vibrate to mate and spawn with their eggs. You know, this is all rushed down the river and creates life elsewhere because of the, you know, elements and the fertilizer in all of those sediments and the fish poo and all that good stuff. So, you know, also another big meaning I think tied in is doing things in an unorthodox fashion. So doing things backward, or what may look to others to be unorthodox or something we can't understand. Why would the salmon fish, why would the spirit of the fish try to challenge itself so much to go up a waterfall and kill, you know, a lot of its population just to have the next generation survive because of the pure ability and the environment and the clean and arena that the new found fish will start off with. And their purpose is for success of the species and success of the species to be healthy and long-term success, knowing that in order to, you know, look toward the future generations, plural, there should be a stability, a ceremonial, habitual, you know, experience or set of guidelines or sacred rules that should be followed, in this case being in a pure and clean as possible environment to deliver the newborn fish out of their eggs, right, for the fish to hatch in. Okay, and so I think also when we talk about the fish spirit animal, especially the salmon, we can talk about, you know, fish out of the water, so to speak, the vastness of the water, of big bodies of water rather, and then the small containing and restricting element of a fishbowl. So these vast perspectives, having different ways of viewing life and experiences based on our environment and our, you know, dimension that we see ourselves within, and the experiences that we have been shown. And sometimes this can be not within our own capable judgment. So this is all about the spirit of the fish is all about, I think it really represents those kids who are trying to leave a regimented right-wing religion, right? Just they do not have any fault of their own for being brought up with this programmed religion that is dogma, that is bullshit, and is something that they are told to believe as literally the word of God, or that is what the only truth is. And so sometimes if inadvertently or shown another way, or even that there are other people out in the world that believe vastly different things and that it's all okay and you can believe whatever you want and you'll survive, I think that this is a big meaning and symbolic, connotation when we talk about the fish spirit animal, the innocence of not knowing better, of being in a fishbowl because you have never been out into a lake, and the change of perspective that can occur when we allow ourselves to surrender to different experiences and truths. The flow state, again, allowing surrender to the currents and to the different beliefs or experiences that we observe, regardless how rapid they occur or how vastly different the flow feels and how it transports us to different places that we may feel uncomfortable in, but there's always a bigger fish. And so learning to think with the perspective of open-mindedness is also, I think, symbolic to the fish spirit. And I believe that depth rather than topical, being somebody who can dive deep and contemplate and wants to talk about experiential, lessons or characters that they have played in different roles that they can describe, things like that, when they get really deep and like an onion want to reveal more and more of their personality or things that they observe, just being like a philosophical type of vibe, being very deep into the realm of thinking rather than being topical and accepting just a one-line answer as to what you should view something as, and still wanting to seek and dive deeper and deeper into things rather than close up and be that of very bound, solid state, very much a state that wants to move and change and go into different forms, into snow, ice, mist, fog, right? So another energy or meaning I think is tied in with the fish spirit animal. The spirit animal of the salmon is not easily seen in, many lakes or rivers or ocean. To the keen observer, you're not easily seeing fish. They're under the surface, right? And so this has an energy of having a faithful vibe of realizing there are things that we cannot see, but they're there. So those mystical traditions or things that are told to us by way of oral tradition and trust by someone we trust. So like if I tell my children there are fish in that pond and I come back with fish, but they do not see me fishing, and they know when they get old enough to go and fish in that pond, they will come back with fish too, right? Them and that blind faithfulness of knowing because they trusted something that was told to them by someone they love and also they saw the evidence of, or therefore they just believed because of the good tidings that were brought to them, right? Something of that nature. Again, the Christian meaning, connecting with the Christ. Something that is divine and of mystical source. So guys, I appreciate you listening to me. I think that I will leave off with that. I really appreciate you listening to my spirit animal collection, and this has been the spirit animal of the salmon, or the fish spirit animal. Hopefully you guys are all doing well. Blessings, love, light, and appreciation for all the subscriptions, the comments, the likes, and the shares. Truly do appreciate you and hope that I'm sending you nothing but positive vibes. Thanks, guys, and remember, there are always bigger fish in the sea.